In the 1980s, we got up off the couch to change the channel, and everything we loved came out of that one set. Saturday morning cartoons with a bowl of cereal, running home after school for He-Man, shows circled in the TV guide with a pen, Knight Rider and the A-Team, commercials that still play in your head. The night MTV showed up and changed everything, and that flag on the screen at midnight, when television just stopped. There was no pausing it and no watching it later, and somehow that made all of it matter more. So let's go back to the years when one television set held the whole family together. Saturday morning was the only day of the week we set our own alarm. Not for school, not for church, for cartoons. A lot of us were up at 6 and the television was not even on yet. Half the stations were still running color bars, or a farm report reading off crop prices over a blurry sunrise. So we sat there on the carpet in our pajamas, 2 feet from the screen, waiting for the whole country to wake up. Then the first cartoon hit, and that morning belonged to us. The Smurfs, Scooby-Doo, Bugs Bunny, Muppet Babies, Heathcliff. We carried a bowl of the sugary cereal our mothers never allowed on a school day, balanced it on a metal TV tray, and read the back of that box maybe 40 times without ever meaning to. 4 hours. One show rolling straight into the next, and then it ended. Around noon the cartoon stopped and Soul Train came on, and every kid in America knew exactly what that meant. Mom heard that opening, and the channel changed. The front door opened, and we were outside until the streetlights came on. But Saturday was not the only time cartoons were on. There was a whole block waiting for us on weekday afternoons, too. School let out around 3, and a lot of us had a house key hanging on a string around our neck because both parents were still at work. We let ourselves in, dropped the backpack, and turned on the set before we did anything else. It took its time. You heard the hum, you got that smell of warm dust cooking off the back of it, and then the picture came up. Inspector Gadget, Thundercats, Transformers, G.I. Joe, DuckTales, and then there was He-Man, raising that sword over his head every single episode.
By the power of Grayskull!
If 2 of your shows ran at the same time on different channels, that was a real decision, because whatever you gave up was just gone. Homework got done on the coffee table with the television still going, and wrapped up right before your parents walked in the door. And with only a handful of channels, every kid in the neighborhood watched the same episode on the same afternoon. So the next day at school, we were all talking about it. Today, a kid can watch anything ever made from the backseat of a car on the way home. We got one shot at it, and that was that. By evening, the television stopped being ours and became the whole family's. And that meant somebody had to answer one question. What is on tonight? In a lot of houses, the answer came from TV Guide, small enough to fit in one hand and running the entire week. Somebody picked it up with the groceries every Saturday, or it turned up in the mailbox. And some of us just tore the listings out of the newspaper, folded down to the few channels that came in. You found the night, ran a finger across the times, and circled what mattered in pen. That circle meant that at 8 o'clock on Thursday everybody knew where to be, and nobody was pausing anything for a person who wandered in late. The copy sat out until the corners went soft, coffee rings on the cover, half the pages curled, and I am sure every one of you remembers that crossword on the back page. Every August, we waited on the fall preview issue like it was a holiday, because that was our first look at the whole season coming. Now we scroll for 20 minutes and end up putting on something we have already seen twice. Back then, the week was printed on paper, sitting on the coffee table, and we never once felt like we were missing out. And what got circled was often one of these. Most of us would have a hard time describing a single plot today, but we can still describe the vehicles down to the paint. Knight Rider had David Hasselhoff, but the real star was the car. That black Trans Am with the red light sweeping back and forth across the nose, and a voice that talked back to him.
Michael, may I ask you a question?
Shoot.
How do I look?
Some things never change.
Half the boys in America decided right then that someday they would own that car. The A-Team had the van, black with the red stripe, and every kid knew it on sight. But the part we waited for was not the fight at the end. It was the moment they got locked in some barn full of scrap metal and old machinery and started welding it all together. A few minutes later, the doors burst open, and out came a homemade armored truck with a cannon bolted to the roof. And for all the shooting on that show, week after week, nobody ever actually got hit. Airwolf gave us the helicopter, MacGyver gave us the paperclip, and plenty of us went digging through kitchen drawers convinced we could build something too. And I would bet that at least one of those theme songs is playing in your head right now, and you have not heard it in 40 years. Action shows were one thing, but there was another kind of show that pulled everybody into the same room. One set, one show, and everybody watched whatever was on it. Thursday nights on NBC were the closest thing we had to an event. Cheers, Family Ties, Night Court, one right after another. Cheers gave us a bar where everybody knew your name, and half of us were too young to understand what Norm and Cliff were going on about.
I'll bet you a dime I can drink that drink without touching the pack. Look.
We laughed anyway, because everyone else in the room was laughing. Family Ties turned the usual setup upside down, with the parents as the former hippies, and the teenage son in a necktie carrying a briefcase to high school. And every episode ended with that dog barking after Ubu.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.
Growing Pains and Who's the Boss filled out the rest of the week, and Airwolf blew up the kitchen on a Monday night, in a scene plenty of us can still picture. And Golden Girls, which more men watched than will ever admit it, usually because mom had the set and nobody was changing it. Put on an episode of Cheers tonight, and it is still funny. But that is not really the thing we miss. What we miss is a living room with everybody in it, all laughing at the same thing, at the same time. You cannot talk about television in the 80s without talking about the one thing that changed all of it, and that was MTV. On August 1st, 1981, a rocket launched on cable, a flag went up on the moon, and the first song they ever played was Video Killed the Radio Star. Music, around the clock, and it never signed off. Not everybody had cable, so a lot of us watched it at a neighbor's house or a cousin's, and just sat in front of it because you never knew what was coming next. Now you saw the bands, what they wore, how they moved, and kids started dressing like them within a week. The MTV VJs became famous in their own right, and plenty of us rushed home from school just to see who was on and what they were about to play. And when a big video was coming, everybody showed up. Thriller premiered, and we were parked in front of the set waiting on it. And that was all anybody talked about at school for a week. We would leave that channel on for hours with no plan at all, sitting through songs we did not even like, just in case the good one came on next. Nobody could skip ahead, and somehow that made every song we did love hit twice as hard. Some shows only came around once a year. You would be sitting there on an ordinary night. That CBS special presentation logo came up with the fanfare. We knew something good was starting before anybody said what it was. Then the music kicked in, and it was Charlie Brown, The Great Pumpkin in October, Thanksgiving in November, and Linus explaining what Christmas was actually about. December brought Frosty, the Grinch, and Rudolph. And once a year, The Wizard of Oz. It was a television event, one night only. Miss it and you waited 12 months. Then the VCR showed up and quietly broke the whole system. Every house had a stack of tapes with handwritten labels, and at least one had a football game recorded right over the movie you loved. We sat there with a finger on the pause button, trying to cut the commercials out. But something got lost in that trade. When a show came around only once a year, everybody watched it the same night. Now, everything is available all the time, and there is nothing left that the whole country sits down for together. But a lot of what we remember best was not the shows at all, the commercials. For one, everybody remembers the Wendy's commercial.
It certainly is a big bun.
It's a very big bun.
Big fluffy bun.
It's a very big fluffy bun.
Where's the beef?
3 words from a little old lady, and within a month the whole country was saying it. Then there was the one that scared us all straight, the egg and the frying pan. And of course, Domino's had the Noid. The rest come back the second you hear them. Calgon, Life Cereal, Dr. Pepper, and late at night, that station announcement we all knew by heart.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Nobody wanted commercials, and here we are, still able to sing them. But nobody left the room during them either, because leaving meant somebody else got the channel. Do not touch it, this is almost over. Leave it, the game is coming back. And somebody had to get up and cross the room to do it, so whoever sat closest to the set held all the power. Then there were the rabbit ears with tin foil wrapped around the tips, because somebody's uncle swore it helped. Sometimes the only thing that worked was standing there holding the antenna, arm up in the air, watching a show you could barely see. That was television, and half of it was the work of getting it to come in at all. And then at some point after midnight, television did something it never does now. It ended. The last show finished, and the national anthem played over a flag, and then the screen went to snow and that steady hiss. Some stations ran color bars until morning. Either way, it was over, and you got up and turned it off. Today, it never stops. There is always one more episode and nothing left to tell us when the day is done. And maybe that is what we really lost. Back then, we had almost no choice at all, and every night in front of that television felt bigger than 1,000 of them do now. So tell me in the comments what your family's favorite show was. And if this brought some of it back, subscribe to Memory Trails. I have plenty more like this and plenty more still coming. See you next time.